Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're highlighting 40 biological differences between men and women. This video is meant to be for educational purposes only and will only cover differences between the biological sexes of men and women and not their gender identities. Also note that these differences are differences on average. In total, this video will cover the topics of chromosomes and genetics, reproductive systems, secondary sexual characteristics, muscle and body composition, metabolism and physiological differences, bone structure, neurology, immune systems, and additional facts. Timestamps can be seen in the description below, and this is not meant to be an exhaustive list. A lot of information will be shared in this next hour. To remain fun and interactive, there will be a mini quiz at the end of each section. Take your best guess, tally your scores, and share it with us in the comment section below. Without further ado, hit the like and subscribe button, and let's begin. At number 1, we have chromosome composition. Men have XY chromosomes, while women have XX chromosomes. Chromosomes are integral to our sex determination system, a system found in most mammals that determine the genetic makeup of our offspring. The Y chromosome is physically smaller in size than the X chromosome, as shown here. At number 2, we have sex-linked disorders. Certain genetic disorders are more common in men, and some are more common in women due to the presence of specific genes on the X and Y chromosomes. Two examples for women include Turner syndrome, which is caused by partial or complete absence of one chromosome, resulting in infertility, heart and kidney issues, skeletal and facial features, hearing problems, and developmental delays, and Rett syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that predominantly affects females and is linked to mutations of the MECP2 gene located on the X chromosome. As a result, she may experience a loss of motor and communication skills, repetitive hand movements, seizures, breathing issues, and cognitive impairment. Two examples that primarily affect men are hemophilia, which is a genetic bleeding disorder characterized by the inability to clot blood properly, and Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a genetic disorder that leads to progressive muscle degeneration and weakness. At number 3, we have genomic differences. Men and women can have variations in gene expression and epigenetic modifications. No two humans are genetically identical. Even monozygotic twins who developed from one zygote have infrequent genetic differences due to mutations occurring during development and gene copy number variation. Differences between individuals, even closely related individuals, are the key to techniques such as genetic fingerprinting.
Which of these is not a symptom of Rett syndrome? A. Breathing issues. B. Cognitive impairment. C. Seizures. Or D. Ice cream cravings. The answer is D. Ice cream cravings. Women have 2 chromosomes of the same letter. Which letter is this? A. E. B. Y. C. X. Or D. Z. The answer is C. X.
At number 4, we have primary reproductive organs. At the most basic level, women have ovaries, fallopian tubes, and a uterus, while men have testes. We'll explore how these differences play out in the next coming points. At number 5, we have gametes. A gamete is described as a reproductive cell having the haploid number of chromosomes, especially a mature sperm or egg, capable of fusing with a gamete of the opposite sex to produce a zygote. As a result, women produce eggs or ova, while men produce sperm. More will be explained about this later in the video. Number 6. Menstrual cycle. Women undergo a monthly menstrual cycle involving hormonal fluctuations, ovulation, and potential pregnancy. Biologically speaking, these cycles are unique to women and are not present in men. Number 7. Menopause. This is another phenomenon uniquely exhibited by women. This occurs later in life for women, typically between 45 and 55, and marks the end of reproductive capability. Menopause is caused by the loss of ovarian follicular function and a decline in circulating blood estrogen levels. Men do not experience a comparable physiological event. Number 8. Fertilization. While both men and women contribute to the fertilization process, they both contribute different things. We learned in number 5 about gametes. During the fertilization process, men contribute sperm to fertilize eggs. There are about 40 weeks to a typical pregnancy, and this is the first step. Women have a limited window of fertility due to ovulation, while men can produce sperm throughout their lives. When a woman is considered fertile, she is able to carry a healthy baby to term. Infertility is one of many factors that can lead to a high-risk pregnancy. A high-risk pregnancy is a pregnancy that involves increased risks to the pregnant person, fetus, or both. When a woman is over 35 years old, her risks of carrying a healthy baby to term increases, and this is the start of geriatric pregnancy. A biological clock is usually used to describe the fertility window commonly associated with women. While there is no maximum age that stops a man from being able to have a baby, after 50, on average, sperm quality begins to decrease. Number 9. Pregnancy and childbirth. This is unique to women and involves hormonal and physiological changes to support fetal development. A pregnancy is divided into 3 stages called trimesters, and a trimester lasts between 12 and 14 weeks. A full-term pregnancy lasts about 40 weeks from the first day of a woman's last period. During weeks 1 to 4 of the first trimester, the sperm fertilizes the egg, forming a zygote. The zygote undergoes multiple divisions, forming a blastocyst that travels down the fallopian tube and implants into the uterine lining. Cells within the blastocyst develop into placenta, which starts producing hormones to support pregnancy. The inner cell mass of the blastocyst differentiates into 3 primary germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, laying the foundation for the development of organs and tissues. The amniotic sac, containing amniotic fluid that provides protection and a stable environment, begins to form around the embryo. During weeks 5 to 8, rapid cell division and differentiation leads to the formation of major organs and organ systems. The heart starts beating and the neural tube begins to form. Limb buds emerge, which eventually develop into arms and legs. The placenta continues to develop, providing oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. The umbilical cord forms, connecting the embryo to the placenta. Hormone levels rise to support pregnancy and prevent menstruation. During weeks 9 to 12, the embryo's facial features such as eyes, ears, and a primitive mouth become more defined. The embryo transitions to being called a fetus, and small involuntary movements begin. The placenta continues to grow and become more efficient in nutrient exchange and waste removal. This period is considered a critical time for organ development, and exposure to harmful substances or factors can have lasting effects on the fetus. During the second trimester, in weeks 13 to 16, the fetus undergoes a rapid growth spurt with organs and tissues continuing to develop and mature. The external genitalia become more distinct, allowing for gender determination through ultrasound. The mother may start feeling fetal movements known as quickening, which usually begins around week 16. The fetus's muscles and bones continue to strengthen and develop. In weeks 17 to 20, the fetus's organs are becoming more mature and the face becomes more recognizable. Fine hair called lanugo develops on the fetus's body, helping to regulate body temperature. The fetus's ears are well formed, and it can start to hear external sounds, including the mother's voice and heartbeat. The volume of amniotic fluid increases to provide cushioning and allow for fetal movement. In weeks 21 to 24, the fetal brain undergoes rapid growth, and the neural connections continue to develop. The fetus's eyelids, which were fused, begin to open, and the eyes develop more pigmentation. The lungs continue to develop. By the end of the 24th week, the fetus reaches a stage of potential viability, although intensive medical care would be required for survival. In weeks 25 to 27, the fetus continues to grow in size and gain weight. Fetal movements become more pronounced and may even be visible from the outside. Organs like the lungs, liver, and immune system are continuing to mature. The fetus's pancreas is developing, allowing for better glucose regulation. In the third and final trimester, in weeks 28 to 31, the fetus continues to gain weight and develops fat stores to regulate body temperature after birth. The fetal brain undergoes further development, and the cerebral cortex becomes more complex. The lungs continue to mature. Fetal movements may become more vigorous, and the mother can feel a wide range of kicks and stretches. In weeks 32 to 35, the fetus may settle in a head-down vertex position in preparation for birth. The fetus's organs and systems are refining their functions and maturing further. The fetal bones continue to harden, but some skull bones remain flexible to aid passage through the birth canal. Practice contractions may become more frequent as the uterus prepares for labor. In weeks 36 to 40, the fetus ideally settles into the optimal head-down position for birth. The fetus continues to gain weight, with most of the growth occurring in the final weeks. The lungs are now mature and ready for breathing air after birth. The cervix begins to thin and dilate in preparation for labor and delivery. Amniotic fluid levels may decrease as the fetus grows and takes up more space in the uterus. The mother may experience increased fatigue due to the physical strain of carrying the grown fetus. Some women experience a surge of energy and nesting instincts as labor approaches. This occurs until the baby is ready to be delivered to term. Number 10. Hormones. Men and women have differing levels of hormones such as testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. While testosterone and estrogen can be found in both men and women, testosterone levels are much higher in men and estrogen levels are much higher in women. These hormones can be linked to different things. Testosterone can be linked to sexual function in men, muscle mass and strength, and red blood cell production. Estrogen has been linked to reproductive system health in women, bone health, and mood. Number 11. Hormonal fluctuations. Women experience menstrual and hormonal fluctuations, leading to changes in mood, energy, and other physiological aspects. Certain medical conditions, lifestyle habits, environmental conditions, and endocrine gland malfunctions can also be causes of hormone imbalances in females.
Time for another quiz. Question 1. How many eggs is the average female born with? A. 500,000 to 1 million. B. 1 million to 2 million. C. 2 million to 3 million. Or D. 3 million to 4 million. Question 2. Which phenomenon best corresponds with activities in weeks 5 to 8 of pregnancy? A. Practice contractions may become more frequent as the uterus prepares for labor. B. The cervix begins to thin and dilate in preparation for labor and delivery. C. Limb buds emerge, which will eventually develop into arms and legs. Or D. Fetal movements may become more vigorous, and the mother can feel a wide range of kicks and stretches. The answer is C.
Number 12. Hormonal impact. Hormones contribute to the development of secondary sexual characteristics, like breast development in women, facial hair growth in men. We will delve deeper in these impacts in the next couple of points. However, many of these changes occur during puberty. Puberty is a period of significant physical and physiological changes that marks the transition from childhood to adulthood. It typically begins around the ages of 9 to 14 in girls and 11 to 16 in boys, although the exact timing can vary widely amongst individuals. The duration of puberty varies as well, but it generally lasts for several years. On average, puberty can last about 2 to 5 years. However, it's important to note that the various stages of puberty don't all occur at the same time or progress at the same rate for every individual. The different changes that occur during puberty, such as the development of secondary sexual characteristics, can happen at different times and different rates for different people. The end of puberty is marked by the attainment of physical and sexual maturity. At this point, most individuals have reached their adult height and their bodies have completed the major physical changes associated with puberty. Keep in mind that while the major changes of puberty typically happen during this time frame, psychological and emotional development can continue into young adulthood. Number 13. Body hair distribution. Men typically have more body and facial hair compared to women. Here's a chart that outlines the major regions and differences between men and women. Men typically develop facial hair during puberty, including a beard, mustache, and sideburns. Facial hair growth is influenced by higher levels of testosterone. Men commonly have hair on their chest and abdomen. The pattern of chest and abdominal hair can vary, with some men having more extensive coverage than others. Hair growth on the back is more common in men. The amount and density of back hair can vary amongst individuals. Men generally have more hair on their arms and legs compared to women. Hair on the arms and legs is often darker and more noticeable. Men have hair in the underarm region. Underarm hair in men tends to be thicker and coarser. Women, in contrast, usually have finer and less visible facial hair, often referred to as peach fuzz. Some women may have minimal facial hair, while others might have slightly more, particularly around the upper lip and chin. Women typically have minimal to no hair on the chest and abdomen. Hair in these areas tend to be lighter and less dense. Hair growth on the back is less common in women. Any hair on the back is usually lighter and finer. Women have hair on their arms and legs, but it's generally finer and lighter in color. Hair on the arms and legs is often less noticeable in women. Women also have hair in the underarm region, which can also vary in thickness and color. Underarm hair in women is usually finer than in men. An additional point to mention is that as men age, they also are more likely to have hair loss than women, a phenomenon known as male pattern baldness. Number 14. Voice pitch. Men often have lower pitched voices due to differences in vocal cord size and tension. On average, men have vocal cords up to 1 inch or 2.54 centimeters in length, while the average woman has a vocal cord average length of 0.167 inches or 0.42 centimeters. Number 15. Adam's apple. An Adam's apple is the bump or protrusion on the front of many people's throats. It's the cartilage that covers the front of your larynx or your voice box. Everyone has this cartilage, but it's not always visible. The medical term for Adam's apple is laryngeal prominence. An Adam's apple is prominent in men due to men having larger laryngeal cartilage. Number 16. Facial features. Men and women have different facial features, with men having more pronounced brow ridges and jawlines. We'll go into more detail about this in the section on bone structure.
Time for a quiz. Laryngeal cartilage is also known as A. An Adam's apple, B. A diaphragm, C. A voice box, or D. Vocal cords. Is A, an Adam's apple. Women usually have finer and less visible facial hair, often referred to as what? A, blonde hair, B, peach fuzz, C, light fuzz, or D, thin fuzz.
number 17, we have muscle mass. Men generally have higher muscle mass and strength due to testosterone levels. Men tend to have higher proportions of type 2 muscle fibers, also known as fast twitch fibers, which are associated with explosive power and strength. Additionally, men may use a larger number of motor units during physical activities, contributing to greater muscle strength. Number 18. Fat distribution. Men and women store fat differently in our bodies. Women tend to carry more subcutaneous fat, particularly in the hips and thighs, while men carry more visceral fat in the abdominal region. Aside from hormonal influences, evolutionarily, certain fat distribution patterns might have been favored for reproductive success. Fat stored in the lower body, hips and thighs, may have been associated with improved fertility and attractiveness, which may have provided evolutionary advantages for women in terms of childbearing and attracting mates. For men, fat storage in the abdominal region could be a favored fat storage pattern that allows for efficient energy utilization during periods of physical activity and exertion. Number 19. Body shape and proportions. Both men and women come in a variety of different shapes and proportions. However, on average, men often have broader shoulders and narrower hips, while women typically have wider hips. Additionally, women tend to have a higher waist-to-hip ratio. Healthy women have ratios of 0.67 to 0.8, while healthy men have 0.8 to 0.95. In Western countries, the ideal ratio of attractiveness is 0.7 in women and 0.9 in men.
Men tend to have a higher proportion of type 2 muscle fibers. These muscle fibers are also known as A. Slow twitch muscle fibers, B. Slow motion muscle fibers, C. Fast twitch muscle fibers, or D. Fast motion muscle fibers. Ratio of 0.8 to 0.95. In Western countries, what is the ideal hip-to-waist ratio for women? A. 0.7, B. 0.8, C. 0.6, or D. 0.5. Is A, 0.7.
Number 20. Metabolic rate. Men typically have a higher basal metabolic rate. An average man has a BMR of around 7,100 kilojoules per day, while an average woman has a BMR of around 5,900 kilojoules per day. Energy expenditure is continuous, but the rate varies throughout the day. The rate of energy expenditure is always lowest in the early morning. Number 21. Thermoregulation. Women often have a slightly higher core body temperature than men. Research from Kakuba Yuksilko and R. Grubska found that women differ from men in thermal responses to exogenous heat load and heat loss, as well as to endogenous heat load during exercise, because they usually have a larger ratio of body surface to body mass, a greater subcutaneous fat content, and lower exercise capacity. When these differences are eliminated in experimental studies, it appears that women's sweating response to heat load is still smaller than that of men, but they are able to maintain their core body temperature on the same level to that of a man as a result of greater evaporative efficiency of sweating. Number 22. Sweat gland density. Men tend to have a higher density of sweat glands. Before puberty, boys and girls sweat out the same amount, but as adults, there seems to be a marked difference in the amount we produce, with men starting to sweat sooner and with more volume. Number 23. Blood volume. Men generally have a larger blood volume. The blood volume is 70 milliliters per kilogram of body weight in adult males and 65 milliliters per kilogram in adult females. Number 24. Cardiovascular system. On average, men typically have larger hearts than women. A woman's heart pumps faster than a man's, but a man's heart ejects more blood with each pump. Stress causes a woman's pulse rate to rise, leading to more blood being pumped, while for men, artery constrictions lead to a rise in blood pressure. This leads us to number 25, which is heart rate. As a result of having a smaller heart, a woman's heart will likely have to do slightly more work to pump blood to where it needs to go. Overall, women tend to have slightly faster resting heart rates than men. The average adult male heart rate is between 70 and 72 beats per minute, while the average for adult women is between 78 and 82 beats per minute. Number 26. Blood pressure. Men and women experience the risks of blood pressure at different phases in life. Men tend to have higher blood pressure earlier in life, while a woman's risks increase after menopause. This is likely caused by a slew of both genetic as well as external factors that touch on work and lifestyle.
Time for a quiz. Finish the sentence. Women have a blank than men. Is it A, much higher core temperature, B, slightly higher core temperature, C, slightly lower core temperature, or D, much lower core temperature? After what stage of her life? Is it A, puberty, B, the third trimester of pregnancy, C, her first period, or D, menopause?
Number 27. Bone density. Women are more prone to osteoporosis due to lower bone density after menopause. It is estimated that, on average, women lose up to 10% of their bone mass in the first 5 years after menopause. To reduce your risk of osteoporosis, women are encouraged to eat a diet rich of calcium and to do regular weight-bearing exercise. These lifestyle habits are best started young in life to get the most benefit. Number 28. Bone shape. Male and female bones can have subtle differences. The female pelvis generally has a wider and more circular pelvic inlet and outlet, which is adapted for childbirth. The male pelvis is typically narrower and more heart-shaped. Additionally, the subpubic angle is wider in females, providing more space for childbirth. In the skull, males often have more prominent brow ridges compared to females. Female eye sockets tend to be more rounded, while male eye sockets tend to be more square. The angle between the hand and the shaft of the femur, also known as the angle of inclination, is generally greater in females. This contributes to wider hips in women. Males typically have thicker and longer humeri, reflecting greater muscle mass and strength. Male hands are generally larger and have thicker bones, particularly in the fingers and metacarpals. Similar to hands, male feet are often larger and have thicker bones. However, women tend to have higher arches in their feet compared to men. Female ribs are generally shorter and broader, contributing to a wider waist. The angle at which the ribs attach to the vertebral column differs between genders. Females tend to have a more pronounced lumbar or lower back curve, partly due to adaptations for carrying the weight of pregnancy. Overall, men have longer legs relative to their torso length, while women have slightly longer torsos relative to their legs.
Quiz time. Women lose up to what percentage of their bone mass in the first 5 years after menopause? A. 10%, B. 25%, C. 30%, or D. 40%? Is A, 10%. Due to adaptations of carrying the weight of pregnancy, women have what? A more heart-shaped pelvis, more pronounced lumbar curve, higher arches in their feet, or D, longer and more narrow ribs.
Number 29. Pain perception. Men and women experience pain differently. Research suggests that women have a lower pain threshold and tolerance and experience pain stimuli more intensely than men. Part of this is due to the fact that women have a higher nerve density than men, causing them to feel pain more intensely. Part of this is also due to fluctuating hormones. When estrogen levels are low, pain receptor activity is elevated, and this causes the body to feel more pain. Number 30. Brain structure. Men and women have subtle differences in brain structures and connectivity, though the significance of these differences is still being researched. One known fact is that on average, men have a larger inferior parietal lobe than women. This part of the brain is involved in the perception of emotions and facial stimuli, and interpolation of sensory information. Additionally, it is also connected with language, mathematical operations, and body image. Number 31. Brain size. Men tend to have slightly larger brains on average, but this does not necessarily correlate with cognitive abilities. On average, men's brains are 10% larger than women's brains. At the time of this recording, there are no known links between intelligence and brain size. Number 32. Cognitive patterns. Men and women may exhibit differences in cognitive patterns and learning preferences. This is a very large category, and we'll tackle it by addressing verbal abilities, spatial abilities, mathematical abilities, memory, emotional processing, problem solving, risk perception, and social recognition. Regarding verbal ability, women tend to perform better in verbal tasks, having larger vocabularies and exhibit larger language skills. Men may excel in specific verbal tasks, but might have smaller vocabularies on average compared to women. Men tend to show better spatial visualization skills, which can contribute to better performance in tasks involving mental rotation and spatial navigation. In contrast, women may have strengths in spatial memory and object location recall. Men tend to have a higher representation in the upper extremes of mathematical performance, such as in fields like advanced mathematics and physics. Women may have an advantage in mathematical calculations and computations, and there is evidence that gender differences in math performance have been decreasing over time. Women often exhibit better episodic memory, the ability to remember specific events and experiences in detail. Men show advantages in spatial memory, which involves remembering the layout of spaces and objects. Women typically demonstrate stronger emotional expression and recognition, with better skills in identifying emotional cues in faces and voices. Men might be more inclined to suppress emotional expression due to societal norms, which can impact emotional processing. Men may favor a more analytical and rule-based problem-solving style, while women often use a more holistic and intuitive approach, considering multiple factors simultaneously. Men tend to be more risk-taking and may engage in riskier behaviors. Women are often more cautious and may be more risk-averse. Women generally excel in empathy and social intuition, which can aid in understanding others' emotions and intentions. Men have strengths in areas of systemizing, such as understanding and predicting mechanical systems or structures.
Time for a short quiz. Which of the following is generally more associated with women in comparison to men? A. Increased risk tolerance. B. Increased spatial visualization skills. C. Decreased vocabulary. Or D. Increased episodic memory. have blank than women? Is it A, a larger inferior parietal lobule, B, a smaller inferior parietal lobule, C, the same size inferior parietal lobule, or D, women don't have an inferior parietal lobule? The answer is A. Number 33. Immune response.
Women.
Women often mount stronger immune responses, possibly due to estrogen's effect. A 2016 study that examined the difference in the immune responses of the sexes noted that the function of the immune system can vary significantly between males and females, resulting in notable variation in the prevalence of certain diseases as well as mortality rates.
The study found that men show an almost twofold risk of death from malignant cancer than women, and antibody responses to seasonal influenza vaccines are consistently at least twice as strong in women than men. In general, adult females mount stronger innate and adaptive immune responses than males. This results in faster clearance of pathogens and greater vaccine efficacy in females than in males, but also contributes to their increased susceptibility to inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. This brings us to number 34, autoimmune disorders. The same study that was referenced at the last point also cited that 80% of autoimmune diseases in their test group came from women. While a woman has stronger initial response to most illnesses, this strong response can cause long-term health issues. Certain autoimmune disorders are also more common in women, such as rheumatoid arthritis, which is a chronic autoimmune disorder that primarily affects the joints.
Systemic lupus erythematosus that can affect multiple organs and systems, including the skin, joints, kidneys, heart, lungs, and brain. And Hashimoto's thyroiditis, an autoimmune disorder that affects the thyroid gland, leading to a chronic inflammation and eventual destruction of thyroid tissue. Mount stronger blank responses than males. A. Nutrition responses. B. Long-term responses. C. Innate and adaptive immune responses. Or D. Chronic responses. The answer is C. Innate and adaptive immune responses. Which of the following is true about rheumatoid arthritis? A. It is a chronic disorder. B. It is a short-term disorder. C. It is mostly found in men. D. There is no treatment for this. The answer is A. It is a chronic disorder. Which vitamin is not known to boost the immune system? A. Vitamin C. B. Vitamin B6. C. Vitamin E. Or D. autoimmune disorder? A. Lombardy's disease. B. Crohn's disease. C. Graves' disease. Or D. Celiac disease. The answer is A. Lombardy's disease. Which food is most likely to strengthen your immune system? A. Fried foods. B. Foods high in omega-6 fats. C. Citrus fruits. Or D. Salty foods. The answer is C. Citrus fruits.
Number 35. Smell sensitivity. On average, women may have more accurate sense of smell. The olfactory bulb region of the brain is responsible for receiving smell signals from the nostril. Women have roughly 43% more cells in this region of the brain than men do, providing women with more power to detect smell than men. Number 36. Acne. While both men and women experience acne, men may experience more severe acne due to increased sebum production. After puberty, sebum production is greater in males than females, which is attributed to androgen secretions, which accounts for why men have longer-lasting acne. Though men have smaller oil-secreting sebaceous glands, they generally have oilier skin. Number 37. Sleep patterns. While sleep can be affected by a number of factors, women may experience more sleep disturbances due to hormonal changes. Some hormones, such as progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, can contribute to insomnia, especially in premenstrual women, pregnant women, and women in menopause. Those problems are temporary and resolve once hormone levels return to normal. Number 38. Lungs. On average, men have larger lung capacity than women. A VO2 max is a measure of the maximum rate of oxygen your body is able to use during exercise. The average inactive male achieves a VO2 max of about 35 to 40 milliliter per kilogram per minute, and the average inactive female scores approximately 27 to 30 milliliter per kilogram per minute. Elite male runners have shown a VO2 max of up to 85 milliliter per kilogram per minute, and elite female runners have scored up to 77 milliliter per kilogram per minute. Number 39. Alcohol metabolism. On average, men tend to have a higher proportion of lean body mass compared to women who generally have a higher proportion of body fat. Muscle tissue contains more water and is metabolically active, which can help dilute alcohol and aid in its metabolism. Alcohol is primarily metabolized in the liver by enzymes called alcohol dehydrogenase, or ADH, and aldehyde dehydrogenase, or ALDH. Men tend to have higher levels of these enzymes than women, which means that they metabolize alcohol more efficiently. This can result in faster alcohol clearance from the bloodstream in men compared to women. Hormones can influence alcohol metabolism. Estrogen, a hormone more prevalent in women, can inhibit the activity of ADH, leading to a slower breakdown of alcohol. This can contribute to higher blood alcohol concentrations in women after consuming the same amount of alcohol as men. ADH is also present in the stomach, and its activity can influence alcohol metabolism before it even reaches the liver. Men often have higher levels of stomach ADH, which can start breaking down alcohol in the stomach before it even enters the bloodstream. This can slightly slow down the rate of alcohol absorption in men compared to women. Men generally have a higher total body water content than women due to the higher muscle mass. So a higher water content can help dilute alcohol in the body, leading to slightly lower blood alcohol concentrations in men. Men usually have a higher basal metabolic rate than women, which means they burn calories more quickly. This can also contribute to faster alcohol metabolism, as the body expands energy to metabolize alcohol. Genetic factors can also play a role in alcohol metabolism. Genetic factors can also play a role in alcohol metabolism differences between individuals regardless of gender. Finally, number 40, vision and color perception.